So since we are now in 2025 with all these movies that are set to be released, and how are they going to be received box office wise, financially, and even if they're going to be received well by critics and audiences, especially with the general public, and what they feel towards it as well, and especially if it's going to have its general appeal to everyone, especially that loves movies, and even with every release that is coming out this year as well. And so I am giving you my top 10 box office predictions for 2025, going from the lower to the top end, what I think will be the best box office result for 2025, as it will go down in history as well. And so if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so much on any future vids. But now let's get right into it. And now, coming in number 10 is the Snow White live-action remake with Rachel Zegler, and I am predicting that it will gross from 250 to 300 million worldwide. And why I think that this is the case, because even with the Disney live-action remakes these days are sometimes shot for shot or beat by beat, or sometimes they're not well received by people. Yeah, I'm talking about the Little Mermaid, the Lion King, but even specifically with the Snow White, and it's being made into live action, and this is the biggest IP because it introduced the first Disney princess, Snow White, and that is going to be portrayed by Rachel Zegler. And even with the look of the film, I think it's going to be appealing to whoever grew up with Snow White, and I mean, I hope it recaptures the magic of the original classic animated movie. And even despite all the controversy and all the toxic hate that it is getting online, especially if it's towards the actresses, and I know that Rachel Zegler is gonna crush it, and even aside from her amazing singing voice, because she is known for West Side Story and Hunger Games, Ballad, Songbirds, and Snakes, but I'm pretty sure that she'll crush this role no matter what. And even with all the hate that she is getting, which I don't get, but I'm pretty sure it is going to be a good movie, but I'm pretty sure it'll probably do low numbers, and even if it's any good, or if it's going to add new layer or new songs to the mix. But even with Disney live action remakes that are sometimes not everyone's cup of tea, or to remake everything that is a classic movie, but I'm pretty sure that this will probably do numbers. And it's coming from Mark Webb that did The Amazing Spider-Man, but I have faith that this movie will do well some way or another. And next up at number 9 is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and this is the 8th and final installment in this franchise, with Tom Cruise going on this one last ride as Ethan Hunt. And I think it's sad to say that this one might underperform, and it might go to about 500 to 600 million worldwide. And why I think that this is the case, because of its big overly increased budget, and it's become like a very expensive. This is like the best action premiere franchise, and this is Ethan Hunt on this one last ride. I mean, every stake is raised high, and this is like end of world stakes. And even though with Ethan, and whether a chance that he gets, and even with this franchise that goes from so many different locations to the biggest and craziest stunts ever pulled off. And even with Dead Reckoning Part 1 that underperformed at the box office, but even with the Final Reckoning, and I don't know if they'll do the same thing, but they had to market it well, especially if they're placing this to be like the 8th and final installment, and the last time that we'll see a Mission Impossible movie for a while. Just with all the stunts that Tom Cruise has pulled off within this franchise, it is brilliant. But even with the stunts that are going to be pulled off in this 8th installment, I think it's going to be pretty insane, but we'll have to wait and see. But can this deliver based on its big expensive budget that's like super high up? But we'll have to wait and see what the results are. But I think this could be a hit at the box office, and even though it comes out in May. And next up at number 8 is Novocaine, and I'm predicting that this might gross to 200 to 250 million worldwide. And plus, even with this movie that stars Jack Quaid, who we all know as Huey from The Boys, and this is the concept as what if Huey became a superhero that has this ability to not feel pain while he's fighting bad guys. And that's like such a cool concept, and this action like thriller comedy that they're throwing in here, and I think it's a brilliant idea. and even though I mean, because I can't tell if this was made on low budget, especially with the effects and the fighting techniques that is being pulled off. And here, plus you have the addition of Amber Midthunder and Jacob Batalon, and just with how Jack Wade is gonna portray this role that The Boys is mainly known, and I think he'll get like a ton of praise for that. It might put him on the map, especially with the look of the film. And let's say to be like a badass action movie that comes out in March, so that's like a big thing I want to put on my list because it's got the appeal. Especially with, I mean, I love Jack Wade, and I can't wait to see what he pulls off in this movie. But it's just the concept and the idea, look alone, that has to be sold on the entire thing. And next up, at number 7, is the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake, and I'm predicting that it will gross from 750 to 800 million worldwide. And because even though this is the Disney live-action remake also coming out this year, aside from Snow White, but even with Lilo and Stitch, and we're getting a remake of this film because if you don't remember the original classic movie that came out back in 2002, and now that we're getting a retelling of that movie. And even though we haven't seen much trailer footage aside from Stitch being a part of the marketing, everyone's favorite alien, and even with the marketing approach alone of showing Stitch throughout all of it and not giving us any first looks of the actual characters, it makes me feel faithful that this one might dominate like the month of May, and plus even coming out I think on a Memorial Day weekend of this year in 2025. And even though with Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch are going to be paired up together, I don't know if it's going to be another Barbenheimer, but it could be that way, but we're not sure. But even with Lilo and Stitch, that might outperform Mission Impossible 8. Stitch is the big appeal. He's the big IP. And I mean, I like the classic Lilo and Stitch, but the fact that they're turning this into live action and for how people are going to see it as sort of like the appeal to it, I think this could win like a no matter what. And I mean, who knows? It could be a surprise box office hit, like because even for how they're gonna market this movie, and I want Stitch to do a crazy stuff in the marketing. But by the time we get closer to the release of the movie, so it's gonna be crazy when that movie comes out. At number 6 is Jurassic World Rebirth, and I'm predicting that this will gross to $1 billion to join the $1 billion club, because you know that we're getting another Jurassic World movie, because people love this franchise. It's like the biggest IP ever, and because especially if you look at the Jurassic World trilogy, I did over $1 billion. But even though I'm not a fan of the last 2 movies, but even with Rebirth that has like a fresh cast, and I think it's gonna deliver a different take on the franchise, and I hope that it delivers dinosaurs, because that's why people go to these movies. What they want is specifically dinosaurs, because if you have Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali as Scarlett Johansson, and also being joined by Gareth Edwards that did Rogue One and the creator, and I'm thinking like this might be a different approach and take on the franchise, and I think it's going to be set within the new timeline, and trust me, it comes out in July, which is the sweet spot. And it comes out during the summer movie season, and people love showing up to these movies with the marketing that we got from this movie, aside from all those first look photos and what the movie's going to look like. It's here to see. I think that this movie is going to win big. And next, at number 5 is Sinners, and this is the new vampire thriller directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan, and I'm predicting that this will gross from 150 to 200 million worldwide. Because why I think that this is the case, because it is a vampire thriller, but also this is the scenario of 2 different characters being played by the same actor, and that is with Michael B. Jordan. But also just with the look of it, it's going to be a period piece, and it's going to be a Michael B. Jordan like slaying and killing vampires, and even these 2 that are teaming up to do a vampire movie, a very interesting concept to me. And just with everything that we know about this movie, and even with the trailer footage that looked so sick, and I am thinking like this could be a surprise hit for the box office, and it might be appealing to everyone, because especially if you know Michael B. Jordan, and especially as these 2 are known for Black Panther and Creed, and now delivering on like a vampire horror thriller flick that I think could be a big hit at the box office, and because it's especially with the name Michael B. Jordan and what this movie is set out to be like. And I heard that this is filmed with IMAX cameras, and with the look of the film, it just looks so beautiful, and its approach to horror and filmmaking in general. And I think this is in very good hands. I think this could win, and with Ryan Coogler and his techniques of what he can do. And next up, my number 4 is Fantastic Four: First Steps, and I am predicting that this might gross from 700 to 800 million worldwide because it is an MCU movie. It comes out at the end of July. But even with the name of Fantastic Four, which everyone knows, they know who the Fantastic Four are, especially from the comics, and now being adapted onto the big screen. Plus, even if you look at the cast that are going to be brilliant and have amazing chemistry with each other, but you have Pedro Pascal and Joseph Quinn, but also with the way that it looks, it's going to be set in a retro alternate reality universe in the 60s and adapting a source material, also coming from Matt Shackman, and also the score is going to be composed by Michael Giacchino, which I am very downright excited for, and we have yet to receive a trailer. Even though this is extremely important to the MCU's future, and not only does it set up future projects, but for the next Avengers films and whatever else, or especially for what the post-credit scenes are going to set up as well. You have the addition of Galactus, Silver Surfer, and everything they want in an MCU flick, and I mean, who knows, this might join the $1 billion club. But with Fantastic Four: First Steps, they're totally recognizable, and I think people are definitely going to show up to this film no matter what. And yeah, it's my most anticipated movie, and I think this is going to win it big, especially for Marvel. And next up, my number 3 is Captain America: Brave New World. This is the upcoming MCU movie that literally comes out next month in February on Valentine's Day. It's going to have Sam Wilson taking on the responsibility as the new Captain America. And I'm thinking that this might gross to about 400 to 500 million worldwide. Why I think that this is true, because even though it's a brand new MCU flick, but even like it could be appealing to everyone, and despite all the behind the scenes drama and its reshoots that it went through, and reshooting the entire movie and reworking stuff on what's going to work, what's not going to work, and even cutting things out. Even if you look at the recent box office projections that people are wondering, that it's set to gross 86 to 96 million domestic on its opening weekend, but I'm thinking like it might gross higher, or it could lose its footing in its second weekend. But it depends. Even for how the film looks, that classic MCU action that we all know and love, we're getting Captain America versus Red Hulk in this film, and Thaddeus Ross played by Harrison Ford. But it is the MCU, and I think towards the end of that film, it's going to set up so much for its future, aside from Sam Wilson's Captain America, for what he has to deal with. And I'm thinking like, yeah, this is going to deliver no matter what. But even though with everything that it has been through, I'm sure it will be a good movie going into it. And next, at number 2 is the Minecraft movie. That's right, and it looks extremely awful. And this movie is going to be bad, but I think it's going to gross $1 billion. It's just a $1 billion movie waiting to happen, because Minecraft is one of the biggest popular video games of all time, played by so many people, and I think people are definitely gonna show up to this movie, including for little kids, adults, and teenagers. And this movie is going to like maybe even do over $1 billion. We're not sure, but even though with the look of the film, and I think it's definitely going to bring in a meme quality. It's going to be such an awful movie, and even with the idea and concept that the way I hear with the lore and everything from the Minecraft games, it seems to be dumb and ridiculous as well. And even like Jason Momoa, Jack Black as Steve, but just with the look, and even after we're bringing in like regular people instead of adapting the actual concept of the games, it makes it even worthless to watch. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a box office hit, despite it being bad. It's actually going to be coming, and oh my gosh, I think we are definitely in for a treat, and I can give you what those results are, and even it's gonna gross over $1 billion, and I can guarantee you or put that in stone. And lastly, coming in number 1 is Superman, and I'm thinking that this will gross to very high numbers. And I think it's going to gross between 600 to 700 million worldwide if it is a success and it kicks off this great DC universe from James Gunn. And because aside from the look of the film, it's going to have that James Gunn feel and that humor, but also having like a dark feel into it, even though it's got one of those vibrant colors, but also deliver on the feels, unlike the light-hearted feel, but also delivering on the concept of what Superman is meant to people, especially in pop culture. He's one of the most popular characters and superheroes ever, featured everywhere across the world, and especially with David Corenswet, who I know is going to crush it as the Man of Steel, and even from the first trailer, it blew me away. And plus, it comes out in July, which is the sweet spot. Plus, it's filmed with IMAX cameras. James Gunn has described the action sequences as inspired by Top Gun Maverick, which is like the greatest legacy sequel ever, and now being adapted into his first movie for the DCU, and I hope that it delivers. And especially as this is going to be made like an event, like you have to see this opening weekend, and I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, not just fans of the character alone, but it has to be appealing to everyone to see. And I think James Gunn is definitely going to crush it, especially after Creature Commandos, and I am very excited to going into his first movie for the DCU. And I mean, who knows, maybe Superman might outperform my predictions, but we'll have to wait and see. That does it for my box office predictions, my top 10. And again, these could change, but this is what many people think, or from what I think as well. But besides that, we have the biggest new releases coming out, so it should be a fun time as well. And that's gonna do it for this video. Just let me know in the comments below, and what are your thoughts on this, what are your thoughts on my predictions, and what kind of box office predictions do you have for the newest releases coming in 2025 based on this, and how well do you think that these will perform? Just let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications about future videos. And also follow all my social media. It's always linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.